Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cards Diecast 4 channel. I want to thank you all for watching, and in this video it is now time for us to conclude the 2017 Panini Select Endorsement Video Showcase Series. I really do hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave a like in the video, and most importantly subscribe to the channel if you appreciate the work I've done to generate this video series for you. Also at the same time, I hope you guys learned something, particularly for those who may be contemplating collating a specific set for themselves or a set for a specific driver. So what we're going to be doing here in this video, obviously you see a very small stack of cards here, and that's because this will be covering the checker flag 1-of-1s, and no individual is going to be able to collect the entire 1-of-1 set, but we're going to try to at least document as many 1-of-1 pulls as we possibly can. If I don't have it physically in hand to showcase to you all, we're going to go back to our Flickr album, to the verified pulls for Select in the 1-of-1 checkered flag design, and see if we can at least document for you all here as of this video how many of them have already been pulled. Now with that said, I want to caution everybody, because this is by far no means a be-all end-all. I am sure that some of the missing hits that we have, or we don't have rather, are already pulled and in people's personal collections. It's just dark to me at least, or they have just decided not to tell anybody about it, which by all means is their right. I will say though is that if you do have an image of one of the missing endorsement hits, even if you don't want to sell it, and I'm not saying I necessarily want to buy it outside the Richard Petty, but beyond that, even if you don't want to sell it, you could email me directly, cardsdiecast4@gmail.com, link in the description below, and you could email me anonymously. I will not reveal who you are. I will crop the card if you want to go ahead and send me an image, and so we could go ahead and upload it to that album, because I'm not the only individual who utilizes that. This has been a resource that a lot of people have utilized to see if their dream 1-of-1 hit has already been pulled. It helps them save money, especially since the Select inventory that's still in boxes. I don't even know of any cases that exist anymore, but even if they are, they're going to be selling for a pretty high price, if you will. And I want to make sure that people at least know how many 1-of-1s have been pulled, so they don't have to waste money trying to gamble to see if they can't pull that dream 1-of-1 autograph. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is we're going to go head over to the Panini website, check out the checklist for the endorsement line, and then go one by one and see if we can document the actual driver's 1-of-1 hit. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the Panini website, and what we are going to do is we're under the releases section. This is where you look at the checklist for all the various releases Panini has made. We got the racing, the 2017, we got the thing already set up, and so here is the roster of all the various signees for the endorsement line. So let us see if we can't verify as many of those 1-of-1 pulls as we possibly can. So the first one up will be for Adam Stevens. Adam Stevens, do we have an image of your 1-of-1? And yes, we do. We have a very familiar background here, and the reason why that's familiar is because I actually broke this card myself. Now, had I pulled the actual, or rather not pulled, but collated the gold Prizm set before I had this card in my hand, I never would have sold it. Because had I had the entire gold Prizm set, I would have tried to get at least 10 of the checker flag endorsements, so I could have at least a third of the roster in my own personal Holy Grail collection. But this was sold at least a year and a half almost before I actually was able to complete the gold Prizm set. So this will be for Adam Stevens, so at least we have an image for his hit. And let's go ahead now back to the checklist and see now if we have a hit for Alan Gustafson. Oh, no, we do not. And that's what's going to be playing every time we do not have an image of a 1-of-1 endorsements. We're going to be playing the good old Chase Austin knocking Kyle Busch into the wall, get the old 404 message. So with that said though, the next person on the checklist is going to be for Billy Scott. Billy Scott, do we have your 1-of-1 endorsements? And the answer is yes, and we don't have to go for a photo. We actually have it physically on hand. This will be Billy Scott's 1/1 true checkered flag endorsement signature, graded by SGC at the 10 and the 10, 10 for the autograph, 10 for the actual card itself. And this was pulled, for those who may be interested, out of a blaster box that I got from Steel City that had the 1999 logo on the side, which means that likely was something that was for a Target, but was not sold. So they actually sent it back, and it was sold off to some company, which eventually got into Steel City's hands. But as you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, just look at that color pop for the checker flag design. Leave it in the description what you think, which parallel has the best look. Is it the base, the blue, the red, the gold, or do you think the checkered flag, the true 1/1s, get to take it home? This was the last time the checkered flag design was utilized for a 1/1. And so this is actually, even though I always considered, at least with the prismatic finishes, that the checker flag design should always be the 1/1, for the last several years it's been just a mere black finish. So this is why I really haven't been back into the NASCAR scene collecting a lot of the modern stuff. This is why I'm still stuck in 2017 and 2016. But I guess in a way I'll keep it, because I know there's a lot of people who enjoy that checker flag design finish as well. And there you go, that is the true 1/1 insignia, and that will do it for Mr. Billy Scott. Okay, now, so we're going to be heading on down to the next person on the checklist, and it's going to be for Dale Inman, the crew chief for Richard Petty's team. Dale Inman, do we have your 1/1 endorsement image? No, we do not. So we're going to have to go on down the line. And here we go now with Dick Berggren. This is something that you would think would have been pulled a long time ago. Dick Berggren, do we have your true 1/1 endorsements? And no, we do not for Dick Berggren. So we're going to have to move on down the checklist again. This time it's going to be for Paul Wolfe. Paul Wolfe, do we have your 1/1 endorsements? And the answer is yes, we do. And it's not in an image. It's actually live to video. Here we go now with Paul Wolfe's 1/1 endorsements. And I've made mention several times that I actually did have this. And I've been talking about how maybe I'd like to have Brad Keselowski signed that part over here for him, so we could kind of have like a de facto, if you will, a 1/1 endorsement for Brad Keselowski, because of course his 1/1 auto only was with the signature paint schemes. But with that said, Paul Wolfe here, this was pulled pack fresh, came out of a hobby box, and this was during a time where I was just pulling nothing but Brad Keselowski hits, and it was all without design. I wish it would be Danica or Jimmy Johnson hits, but I was always pulling the 1/1s or buying the 1/1s for Brad Keselowski, and lo and behold, I get his crew chief. So for a while, it just seemed like the Blue Deuce wanted to be in the Holy Grail collection, and for now, this is where they will be. But here we go for Paul Wolfe's 1/1 endorsement autograph. Okay, so now we move on from Paul Wolfe, and now we're going to head over to the number 4 team and Rodney Childers. Rodney Childers, do we have your 1/1 endorsement? No, it does not look like we're going to be able to secure yours. So the next one in line will be for Slugger Labby. Slugger Labby, do we have your 1/1 endorsement image? And that answer will be yes. If you were watching the beginning of the video, you was looking at the back of his autograph. Somebody on Facebook contacted me saying if they wanted to trade something for this card. I didn't have anything available for trade, but they went ahead and concluded a sale with me. Pretty cheap card, but still 1/1. Anybody looks good in checker flag design there. So this will be the 1/1. I'm not sure exactly which type of, whether it be a blaster box or a hobby this came out of, but nonetheless, Slugger Labby's true 1/1. The last time I heard anything for him is that he was the crew chief for Austin Dillon, but that was several years ago. But now here he is in his 1/1 endorsement autograph form. Okay, so now we've secured Slugger Labby. Now we go to Mike Bugger Ravich. Mike Bugger Ravich, do we have an image of your 1/1? And the answer is yes. There is Mike Bugger Ravich's 1/1 endorsements. And again, that background looks a little familiar, and that's because it should be. I personally pulled this card pack fresh. Again, I have sold it, and this was long before I secured the gold endorsement line. And again, if I could go back in time, I would have kept this. I never would have sold it. But what can you do? You can't own the world. Mike Bugger Ravich, this will be his 1/1 endorsement. And now we move on to the first driver, and that will be for Bill Elliott. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. This has to be pulled. Bill Elliott, do we have your 1/1 endorsement? Well, we don't have it, but we do have an image of it. So here we go. This is the 1/1 endorsement for Bill Elliott. Very happy to at least have secured this image here. It was sold sometime long ago on eBay, and I don't think it's been made available to the public, at least as far as I know, since, at least not through eBay. So here you go for you Bill Elliott fans who may have been wanting to collect the complete set for him. As of right now, you may have to wait and play the eBay waiting game, or at least keep up with the forums and whatnot. At least you have an image for Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. Bobby Labonte will be the next person in line. So Bobby Labonte, do we have an image of your 1/1 endorsements? It looks like the album doesn't get there. So let's go ahead and move on now to Mark Martin. Mark Martin, do we have your 1/1 endorsement? Looks like we don't get anything from Mark Martin. So let's go ahead now. The next driver will be for Terry Labonte. Terry Labonte, do we have an image of your 1/1? And indeed we do. There it is. It was sold a long time ago on eBay, and let me tell you something, I'm sure this card will never be allowed back in public, at least if that person is still alive. There are several Terry Labonte fans that are still out there that are willing to spend very good money. I know that firsthand from my eBay sales. Very good money on low end, or rather low numbered to 1/1 hits for Terry Labonte, and that I'm sure was sold for a pretty good amount. So Terry Labonte, we do have your 1/1 hit. Next person up will be for Richard Petty. Richard Petty, very interested in buying this card if you happen to have it. But Richard Petty, do we have your 1/1 image? No, we do not. So I am sending out a message right now. Out of all the cards, this here is the one I would like to at least have an image. But even if you don't want to sell, please still contact me. Even though I do want to buy, I will not harass you. I will not send you messages. I will not be hunting you down all the time. Just say, listen, want to be a cool guy. Here's an image of the 1/1, but I do not want to sell this. By all means, I will accept the image and just post it up so at least people know what the card for one looks like, because I'm sure I'm not the only person who would love to have that 1/1 endorsements in their collection. But again, I will not harass you. Send me an email, cardstodiecast4@gmail.com, to send that image over. Again, your privacy will be protected. So the next person in line is going to be for Dale Jarrett. Dale Jarrett, do we have your 1/1 endorsements? No, we do not. So we're going to have to keep moving on down the line. Next person is going to be for Cale Yarborough, the first 3-time champion. Cale Yarborough, do we have your 1/1 endorsement? Well, I don't own it, but at least we do have an image for it. I do remember seeing this, just stumbling upon it on eBay. And this is one of the few times where I've seen someone else besides myself actually try to sell a complete set from Endorsements. And this here is a pretty cool deal. This is the complete, or rather this is the checkered flag, obviously. But I got this image from somebody trying to sell the complete set from the checker flag, the gold, the red, the blue, and the base with the back and front autograph. But I don't think anybody picked it up, so maybe this autograph set will be available again at some point and you'll be able to pick it up. But there you go. We do have Cale Yarborough's 1/1. Going back now to the checklist, we're going to see if Darrell Waltrip is available. Darrell Waltrip, Jaws, do we have your 1/1 endorsements? No, we don't. So we're going to have to move on down the line. Harry Gant. Harry Gant, do we have your 1 of 1? And yes, we do. This was shot a long time ago. I think there was like a 2-case break. I was watching this. I was pretty bored. And lo and behold, this card did come up. So the 1 of 1 endorsements for Harry Gant has been pulled. And there you see it right there. Harry Gant, 1 of 1. We gotcha. Next person up is going to be for Hershel Mcgriff. Hershel Mcgriff, do we have your 1 of 1? And yes, we do. In fact, if you remember from my previous videos, I did mention this was the first time I saw a 1 of 1 endorsements autograph. And when I saw it, at first I was, because of the black background, I was a little bit weary of it, but I have since grown. I noticed that at first I don't like things, but then the more I'm around it, the more I end up liking it. So Hershel Mcgriff, this was the first 1 of 1 I ever saw on eBay. And there you go, it has been pulled. Ned Jarrett will be the next person in line. Do we have Ned Jarrett's 1 of 1 endorsement? No, we do not. So now we're going to go on to Danica Patrick. Danica Patrick, do we have your 1 of 1? Well, duh, she's in the damn watermark of every video I've been making lately. Here is the true 1 of 1 for Danica Patrick. And guys, just look at that finish. Just look at that finish. I mean, this is what a trading card should look like. It should have that excellent color pop. Of course, this is the first autograph that is in a PSA slab, and it has the perfect gem mint 10 grade. So very, very happy to have this in my collection. Although it is a little bit concerning in a way because the value of her cards are starting to crash. She's been out of the sport for quite some time. Hailie Deegan is starting to come up. She's the new girl in town. And right now she's moving on with her life with the quarterback guy. Ricky couldn't really hang on to her. I'm sure it's a combination of her being a pain in the ass and then to him wanting to be Wonder Boy race car driver all the time. So, you know, unfortunately that relationship didn't work out. So she's not really even involved in the sport anymore. Not even making appearances or anything else like that. So sometimes I think it might be time to go ahead and start purging my collection of her hits while I still can make some money from it. But when I look at a card like this, though, it's like I really don't want to. This is an excellent hit here. Even if I wasn't even a real fan of NASCAR, I mean, you got to, for you stick and ball sports who may be actually watching this, for you collectors of those sports, I mean, you got to admit this is still a pretty damn good looking card here. So Danica Patrick's 1 of 1 endorsements, we do have that secured, so let's go ahead and move on. All right, so now we're going to move on now from Danica. We're going to go to Jimmie Johnson. This would be my second most desired hit. Jimmie Johnson, do we have an image of your 1 of 1? Yes and no. We are going to take some creative license over here, but as you could read right there, this is a gold endorsements in the background. But as we read the text here, checker flag 1 of 1 endorsements pulled, graded by PSA, but look at that terrible grade right there. An excellent 5 grade. So let's go ahead now. I was over on the Panini website and I was going through the population report for Select Endorsements, just looking for all of my stuff. And lo and behold, as I'm moving, or rather looking along the list, I notice, my goodness, there's a Jimmie Johnson, the checkered flag. So I was like, wow, it's actually been pulled. Because I was blowing a lot of cash on Jimmie Johnson spots, hoping to be able to pull that thing. But as you can see right there, it appears to have already been pulled. But when we look at that checklist, what you're looking right here, you see the checklist name, and then Jimmie Johnson, if I could actually get that thing to highlight. But we have Jimmie Johnson, checkered flag, and then here are the possible grades. It comes from an authentic, which it wasn't authenticated, shouldn't really need to. It's from 2017, but from here is the grades possible from 1 to 10, and as you can see right there, that little 1 number right there, that is the grade that it got, and it's under the 5 category. So this here shows most likely going back to the video of the damage above the checklist with the various cards. I've seen that with endorsements. I'm having a feeling that likely was the same deal. It had that checklist damage that was so prevalent, and as you remember in my gold endorsement videos that I'm showing you right now, that Jimmie Johnson had that damage as well. If you own the 1-of-1 endorsements for Jimmie Johnson, again, if you don't want to sell, you don't have to, but please send an image of that card over. I'd love to be able to examine the condition of it and see, maybe understand why, unless somebody, you know, maybe a kid got a hold of it and bent a corner or something like that. But I'd love to be able to see why that card got such a terrible grade. But for Jimmie Johnson, technically we do not have an image, but I can verify you for a fact that indeed it has been pulled. So let's go ahead and move on to the next name on the list. It's going to be for Kevin Harvick, driver of the number 4 car. Kevin Harvick, do we have your 1-of-1 endorsements? No, we do not. So we're going to have to move on now to Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth, do we have your 1-of-1 endorsements? No, we do not. So we're going to have to move on down to Rusty Wallace. Rusty Wallace, do we have your 1-of-1 endorsement? And yes, we do. It was actually pulled in a break, and that is a screenshot of the card itself as it was being broken. Excellent looking card right there. Would love to have it in my personal collection, just like I said, for the sake of having as many 1-of-1 endorsements as possible. But there you go. For you Rusty Wallace collectors, it indeed has been pulled. So let's go ahead and move on now down the list. Dale Earnhardt Jr., big name right here. Dale Earnhardt Jr., do we have your 1-of-1 endorsements? No, we do not have a 1-of-1 endorsement image for Dale Jr., so we're just going to keep moving on. Casey Mears. Casey Mears, do we have an image of your 1-of-1? And indeed we do. And this should be a little bit similar of an image because I'm the one who actually pulled this card. Again, if I had the gold endorsement set completed already, or at least was very near to it, or at least had the Byron hit, I would have kept this card here. But I would have kept it, but when I pulled it, I know there was somebody who really enjoyed Casey Mears hits, and so that person literally got that card about as pack fresh as you could possibly be without actually breaking it open yourself. But for Casey Mears fans, yes, his 1-of-1 endorsements has been pulled. I just wish I had made better images before I shipped it out, but Casey Mears is down. So Daniel Suarez, do we have your 1-of-1 endorsements? Yes, we do. There it is right there. It was pulled by the playoff push guy during one of his breaks. I remember seeing it, and for the longest time I couldn't find it, but then I looked through his Twitter, and like the very first Twitter that he had made or something like that, that image was right there showing right back at me. So for Daniel Suarez, we do have your 1-of-1 endorsements documented. And then finally for William Byron, ladies and gentlemen, do we have William Byron? And of course, yes, we do. I've been talking about the whole series, and I also made a video, not necessarily showing it when it was pulled pack fresh, but just moments afterwards. I mean, as soon as I pulled that card, I made a makeshift set and put the camera to it, and I showed you guys the card in its raw form. But here we go now with the card in its actual graded form. Graded by PSA, got the Mint 9 grade. Unfortunately, would have loved to have had a Gem Mint 10 copy, but still, just look at the finish of this card, and in the PSA slabs, they look excellent. They look absolutely fantastic. It's just really a shame, though, but at the same time, I can understand why PSA is #1, because they are, at least in my personal opinion, they have the best slabs out there. But again, let's take a look. There you say the true 1-of-1 insignia, and I may go ahead and make a complete showcase of the William Byron endorsement line, but even though we've already seen it throughout this entire series of videos, some people may not just want to watch those videos. They may instead just want to watch anything directly relating to William Byron. So I may make an entire video series again just for content, who knows, but still, I mean, look at the finish of that card right there. Excellent. So just look at that. Excellent finishes right there. So that will do it from the live standpoint. We're going to go back to the computer now, and we're actually going to now analyze which 1-of-1 endorsements that we don't have any image of to give you guys a little bit of a recap and then send you guys home. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so here's a quick word processing page I've made, and it's just saying missing in action 2017 select endorsement, checker flag 1/1 autos. What we are looking at here are the various names that I don't have an image for, but again, I cannot emphasize enough, that does not mean that they are not in existence in someone's collection. It's just I don't have an image for, therefore I cannot personally verify it. So if you happen to have, let's say, the Bobby Labonte 1/1, I'm not saying that you don't own it. I just don't have an image of it. Again, cardsdiecast4@gmail.com if you want to email me images so I can upload them to the 1/1 verified pools album. Because again, I'm not the only person who utilizes that. A lot of people go to that. A lot of my views on my Flickr come from that very album of people who want to see what 1/1s have and have not been pulled. So the more information we have, you're just helping your fellow NASCAR card collector. So let's go down the list quickly. Alan Gustafson, Dale Inman, the announcer Dick Berggren, and Rodney Childers. So we got 3 crew chiefs and 1 announcer. I know there's still a lot of blaster box inventory for select, so I wouldn't be surprised if one, if not all of those individuals, if they have not been pulled yet, may still be in blaster boxes. And then when we go to the drivers, we have Bobby Labonte, we have Mark Martin, we have Richard Petty, and of course Richard Petty is the one that I'm really interested in buying if anybody ever wants to sell that hit. But again, if you own that card and would like to send me an image, do not worry about being harassed. I will not harass you. You can just say, hey, listen, I know you're looking for images. I do not want to sell, but here's a clear image of the card itself. I would like a back and front, but at least give a front so that we could upload it to that 1/1 verified pools album. I am not the only individual who utilizes that album. A lot of people utilize that album to see if their 1/1 hits have been pulled. So please, you're not just helping me, you're helping your fellow NASCAR card collector. Anyway, Dale Jarrett, we don't have an image for him. Darrell Waltrip, Jaws, we do not have an image for him. 20, again, the number here is just based off what it is on the checklist. That's for Ned Jarrett. We do not have an image for him. Jimmy Johnson, you can tell the little asterisk right there. Obviously, we have verified that that autograph has been pulled, but we don't have an actual image for it. Again, if you don't want to sell, don't worry about being harassed, at least if you send it through me to email. If you contact me via Facebook or Twitter and you just upload an image there, don't be surprised to start getting people sending you emails and messages saying, hey, we want to, you know, I want to buy this card, or, you know, you spent $200 on it, I'll give you $50 for it, and all this other crap. So if you send it to me via social media, you're more than willing to, but be expected to get hounded for it. Because believe me, there's plenty of times where people, whenever I do eBay sales, people are trying to tell me or trying to ask me to reveal the seller or the buyer's names for some of the stuff that I sell, which I never ever do. Jimmy Johnson, again, as I said, we have him verified, but we don't have an image of the 1/1, especially for that one because that got the PSA 5 grade. I'd love to see what condition the card was in. Kevin Harvick, we don't have an image for him. Matt Kenseth, we don't have an image for him. And then Dale Earnhardt Jr. So there's still a lot of big names that are not verified in photographic form as far as I know. If you have any images of any of these 1/1 endorsements for these drivers, please contact me. So right now, out of 29 drivers that make up the endorsement 1/1 list, 14 we do not have images for, but again, the asterisk, Jimmy Johnson is documented but no image. So technically right now we have 13 that are truly MIA. We have no information on what their pull status is, but for everybody else, we pretty much have it. So there is the list right there. This will be the Cards of Diecast 4 channel. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, in this video series. Please leave a like, subscribe, and with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all later.